Well, well, well. This is not a video I'd expect to be making in 2025. Nintendo is a company that I've been kind of obsessed with ever since I was a kid. The games were pretty affordable, highly polished, and most importantly, really fun.
So, excuse me if, until the 2020s happened, I was sort of a Nintendo glazer per se.
I thought that they could do no wrong, and hey, if the games are good, that must surely mean the company has our best interest in mind. Well, I found that that is no longer the case nowadays, and my opinions about this company have slowly started to deteriorate over the years, as I and many other people have noticed the cracks starting to form, even before the Switch era. Now I want to add, my complete self-glazing of Nintendo wasn't completely unfounded, as I believe before 2017 at least, they were a pretty respectable company. They had a strong brand identity for creating child-friendly but still exceptionary games that pushed the genre of their technology and took the medium to new heights. Most of my favorite games of all time came from Nintendo, specifically during this time era you see on screen right now. I mean, it just seems like they could never miss with what they made. Truly every game was a hit. And sadly speaking, the Wii U, which I thought was a pretty good console, all things considered, was the first sign that things about Nintendo were going to change. As the Wii U's failure, one of the worst selling consoles in history, profoundly changed the company, I think, and even though they were pretty successful with consoles even in the handheld market up to this point, something definitely went awry after the failure of the Wii U. As up until this point, Nintendo as a company seemed pretty unstoppable, all things considered. I mean, they were responsible in the 1980s for kind of resetting the video games industry after it crashed with a flurry of trash third-party shovelware games. They released some of the most iconic gaming consoles to date, with the SNES being truly one of the most spectacular consoles till this day. The N64 brought games like Mario 64 and Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time that redefined their concurrent genres at the time, with Mario 64 being the primary 3D platformer, and many considering Ocarina of Time still being the best game of all time.
So, it's safe to say, Nintendo was pretty much the definition of gaming when it came to the quality of their games. But stuff started to get a little weird during the GameCube era.
Now, many Nintendo fans consider this era to actually be the best of Nintendo in terms of games-wise. I mean, hell, some of my favorite games came from this era, like Wind Waker, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Kirby Air Ride, just to name a few of my favorites. But in the broader sphere of the gaming industry as a whole, Nintendo around this point was starting to develop a reputation for having safe, kid-friendly games that didn't appeal to the modern, hyper-realistic, and edgy gameplay that games like or systems like the Xbox and PlayStation had. And as such, they started to be seen as the less cool, childish alternative to gaming. Didn't help that Nintendo refused to use modern adverts in the industry, such as using CD disc only with the GameCube and not even having a fully developed online service until the Wii. Where am I going with all this? I mean, there's Steam in the thumbnail.
Well, I'm glad you asked, my dear viewer, because you see,
while Nintendo and the rest of the mainstream gaming industry was seemingly going more casual and less focused on the core gaming experience as a whole, there's one company that still was notable in terms of sticking to the core gameplay experience instead of going experimental with gimmicks to appeal to a more mainstream audience. And that company, of course, was Valve. You all know what Valve is, right? They're the creators of Steam, the biggest marketplace for games online pretty much ever, and it still to this day kind of has a monopoly on the online game market industry. I mean, there are others that have tried to get off the ground, such as Epic Games Launcher, but let's be real, you only use Steam. Now, the reason I bring this up is actually twofold. I wanted to give my opinion on the current controversy given Nintendo Switch 2 and all of the crazy stuff that has happened there, but also kind of compare my own experience with Nintendo and with Steam respectively, because I think it's actually pretty interesting to compare the two companies and how they do business. For one, Steam, unlike Nintendo, is actually constantly up to date with the current technologies and trends in gaming, which I used to think was sort of like Nintendo's so cool for going against the mainstream, but now in retrospect, I'm saying more as like are they just really stubborn and stuck in their own ways and think they're better than everyone? Because it's sort of starting to seem like that, especially when you consider that some of the more nastier trends in the industry, like microtransactions, paid DLC when you haven't finished the game. Nintendo isn't shying away from doing stuff like that, and though they're not as egregious as other companies, believe me, they could be way worse, it is still important to bring up. One of the most egregious examples I could think of is Nintendo Switch Online service. As a person that plays Smash Bros. And other games competitively on Nintendo Switch, this online service is like unforgivably bad. Like, I know it's cheap, only $20 a year is really good, but it's worse than the Wii U, arguably, especially for Smash Bros. I mean, are you talking about the matchmaking, the latency, the fact that you barely get into the matches you want to? It's just a bad online service through and through. And they kind of justify it by trying to give you retro games that are easily obtainable, I'll say, to say the very least, as a, deal to get online servers. It just feels like a cop-out in my opinion, especially when they don't even port the best of their virtual console games. That brings me to another thing that recent Nintendo has been doing. That is the remakes they have.
So, one of the main problems with Nintendo, in my opinion, is that their games never go on sale. Like, ever.
Like, I'm pretty sure I can go to GameStop right now, and if I went to go buy a brand new Wii U game, it would still be at $60. Like, if I went to go buy Super Smash Bros. 4 for the Wii U, I'm pretty sure that would be $60 new. Especially if you go in the online shops, like, the eShop is bad. There are games that are over 6 years old on the Switch that are still max price, still haven't gone down, and you compare it to Steam, which has a sale like every other week, you can sort of see when I'm saying this is anti-consumer. Like, Steam has a sale for some of their best games, some of the best-selling games on the platform, pretty routinely. I picked up Portal 1 and Portal 2 for $2 in total, both games. And that's just something I can't see Nintendo ever doing. Like, it would blow my mind if they, like, release Wind Waker HD or, like, Twilight Princess HD for, like, $2. Are you kidding me? And that's one of the main reasons I would say is a bad comparison with Nintendo versus Valve. Valve understands that games, even though they are a luxury, they are pretty hard to come by if you're not the most financially stable of jobs. And so they don't think that high art should be locked behind a paywall. While Nintendo, for as high quality as their games are, they kind of do have this elitist attitude, like, our games are so good that we can keep them at max price even though they're over a decade old. Just something to think about.
Another thing I would say that makes Valve way more pro-consumer than Nintendo is it's online. Like, Valve's online servers with Steam and stuff like that, I know people get onto Valve with a lot of stuff, but Steam is actually one of the most generous platforms, all things considered, for consumers. I mean, they ban games where they have ads in it. Like, you're not allowed to make a game that has ads in-game. They have the 2-hour refund period, which is actually kind of like, you could exploit that if you're like a greedy customer and screw over a company with the game. Like, no other online service, I think, has the whole 2-hour campaign where you can play a game for 2 hours, and if you don't enjoy it, free refund, no questions asked. Their servers are way higher quality because they, use up-to-date methods of programming like netcode and stuff like that.
It's even smaller stuff like in the design of like the interior. I'm gonna show some on screen, but I know this is mostly for like individual developers and stuff like that, but there's just so much personality in Steam's like workshop with the communities tab, all of the little trinkets and stuff you can get as rewards for games, even stuff like streams going on in the background when you watch game trailers. Like, they have a lot of user interface that just makes the experience way more enticing. And the thing that's crazy is Nintendo used to do this. If you look at the Wii U had charming music whenever you come based off of the season it was. I still remember times as a kid going into the eShop with no intention of buying anything, because let's be real, I wasn't going to be able to afford anything on there. And I would just stay there for the calm atmosphere. Like, they had cute music on there that was so addicting to listen to. I could see all these cool indie games and games from companies I've never seen before. That's how I discovered the Xenoblade Chronicles series, because playing Smash Bros. For Wii U, I would go on to the shop and see where their games were. And lo and behold, they were there right for the viewing, to some nice aesthetics. Compare that to Nintendo Switch, and so engaging. It's like I'm in a grocery store. So yeah, I think Steam beats out Nintendo in that department. And it's not even like something they had to do. It's like, Nintendo, you were already doing that. Why stop?
But now we get to the main thing that I know you clicked on this video for. $80 games. Oh boy.
So all of this stuff until then, like my personal experience, I slowly over time realized, and I think this is the hardest thing for me to realize it, Nintendo is just another company, like the rest of them. Like, I held them to a higher standard because, one, their games were good, and I thought since they were good and cheap and they didn't do all of the insane microtransaction stuff that other companies like Ubisoft, other companies do, that they were somehow better than the competition. But as time goes on, it's slowly being more and more revealed that Nintendo is also just another greedy company like the other ones. They just hide it under the guise of being kid-friendly, and not up to date with the times, which kind of just makes it like lame, because you can't be behind recent technology, like selling this camera for $50 that looks worse than a $20 camera I could buy off of Amazon, and giving it a piranha plant thing, which you definitely wouldn't be able to mod yourself, or you probably risk getting jail time, by the way. Like, Nintendo is so anti-consumer, it's not even funny. Like, whether they mean to do it or not, they kind of give off this arrogant vibe that they just think they're better than everyone else and they can get away with anything, which fans of Nintendo, including myself, has allowed for a while, like a long time. But I think it's time for me to let go of that and realize the truth that, like most companies, Nintendo is just out for the money, and they don't really care that much about, I mean, they do still care about quality, but they are not, it's not beneath them to do some more underhanded tactics to raise their profit margins, which is hilarious because about 10 years ago, I would have been saying the exact opposite.
Okay, this is Editing Plexi here, and I just recently found out that Nintendo's been doing some more anti-consumer stuff with the fact that they're going to be able to manually shut down your games, essentially for anything they find as like malpractice. This means if your Switch 2 has like a mod or a program that they didn't authorize or think wasn't authorized, they can effectively just shut it down. And it has a no suing agreement. I forgot what those are called. Anti-arbitration in the contract in terms of service. So that means if you feel like you're being robbed of a game you purchased with your good hard-earned cash, that just means you can't even class action lawsuit them. So, yeah, really nice look for you, Nintendo. Great on there.
The Wii U, for as badly selling as it was, had far more personality, had more ambitious games, in my opinion, with stuff like Splatoon, Wonderful 101, and Smash Bros. In those consoles, which are still some of my favorite games in the series, I'll be frank. And they had a Miiverse, which was actually a nice little communication platform that kids could use instead of using the brain rot social media platforms used today that are giving people depression and anxiety disorders. Wii U was so much more than just another game console, if that makes sense. It was always boundary pushing, and ever since the Switch came out, it just seems like that's the opposite of what Nintendo is, boundary pushing. Of course, their games are still good. Like, I still think Mario World is a good game. It still looks amazing. The graphics aren't as insane as I would have hoped it would be, but they're still passable. But overall, it just seems like Nintendo kinda has been pulling the rug out from under us this entire time. And it's just a fun thing to compare. If you want some more comparisons to Steam and Nintendo, another thing I would say is the community building that Steam has. If you want to stream a Nintendo game, play games with your friends over Discord with Nintendo, it is such a hassle. You have to buy a capture card just to record footage to record footage at all so you can upload it to YouTube. Then you have to bypass all their various copyright things with them using taking down stuff like if you use their music and videos, just completely obnoxious stuff. While Steam, all you have to do is click the game and then go on Discord and click a button that easily. Like, I'm pretty sure even other consoles like PlayStation, Xbox have more accessible community options for content creators, and Nintendo is just so annoying to do stuff with. I'm not gonna even talk about their pathetic attempts for the Switch 2, where they have Walmart brand Discord with the $50 cameras looking worse than iPhone cameras, as I've already said before. But even still, the fact that they're just so far behind the rest of the industry and they expect you to take it seriously. Like, I saw some tweets on Twitter where people were like, Nintendo, when they show the most bare bones basic technology that's been around for almost a decade, the fans, they just eat it up. And I was one of them. But definitely not going to do that anymore. It's just not sustainable. It's not cool anymore. It's pathetic to see 1080p at 60 FPS be an actual feature that the company is proud of for a modern console. I don't know, it's just some stuff to think about. And also, not even to mention other anti-consumer stuff Nintendo has done that doesn't even involve their products, like shutting down tournaments that use modded games like Slippy for Smash Bros. Melee Online, and then shutting down tournaments that protest that decision, like the Splatoon one that iconically got shut down. It's just, jeez, Nintendo. Notice how Valve not only encourages it, but hires people that mods their games. Just goes to show you the difference in priorities Nintendo has. They think their stuff is sacred and above peasants trying to modify it while Valve embraces it. It's just, the more I think about it, when it comes to some of my more recent best gaming experiences, they certainly didn't come from Nintendo, even though during my early childhood, I would definitely say they did. I've just been so discontented with the brand recently, due to a number of factors that aren't Nintendo's fault, I'm sure, but some that are most definitely their fault. But man, just every experience I've had with Steam has been pure perfection. The amount of affordable, amazing masterpiece indie games on this platform are just something truly to behold, and they're just so nice with like consumer friendliness, getting rid of obvious scams, making sure that companies are held in line, and even pretty generous considering that even though they take 30% of all revenue from like developers that put games in their stuff, you get free servers and other stuff. Like, I don't know if it's because the company is traded privately, which means that they don't have to contort themselves to business interests that care more about money than the actual gaming industry. But yeah, Steam is pretty alright in terms of consumerism and is probably the best in the industry, all things considered.
I don't know. Maybe y'all guys can give me your thoughts and opinions. Do you think that Steam is better than Nintendo? That Steam is going to eventually become another greedy company once Gabe Newell is not the CEO anymore? Tell me your thoughts. And yeah, I just wanted to give my ideas on what I thought the current situation was with the whole Nintendo controversy. Still excited for them having Groove though. That game looks like it's gonna bang.
But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.